This is the heartbeat of human services, a peek into the inspiring stories of our community and all things DHS. Join us.
Welcome to the Heartbeat of Human Services podcast. I'm your host, Allison Vota, and this month for Foster Care Awareness Month, we are highlighting our partner, CASA. With us today, we have CASA of Kern County's Executive Director, Ashley Vorhees, and Marketing and Outreach Coordinator, Adriana Campos. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
So I'm so excited to have you guys here. Ashley, I remember actually meeting you, and you were such a bright spot, and you just talked to me about how you wanted to develop a closer relationship with DHS, which I absolutely loved. And so I'm so glad that I get to have you guys here and talk to you about this organization that is close to so many people's hearts and is just such a big asset to our county. So let's start with Ashley. And I just want to hear from you. How did you get started with CASA?
There was just an opportunity. They were missing an executive director. And actually, a member on the board had reached out to me and said there's this opportunity with this wonderful organization. I was familiar with CASA, but, didn't really know the ins and outs. And she just said, I think you should apply. And so, at that time, couldn't really think about transitioning. I was in a great role. But I just kind of said, if this is God's will, then let it be. And, then I just continued to, down the path of interviewing, and here I am. And it's been, it'll be 3 years in May. And it's been absolutely a tremendous blessing to not only be a part of an amazing organization with a lot of history here, but also to just work with the community on something that is so incredibly important to, caring for our children.
All right, Adriana, you're up. How did you get started and involved with CASA?
So before CASA, I was working in the medical field on the business side.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so different. Never did I ever think I would work in the nonprofit field. But like Ashley said, if it was in God's will, so I really prayed on it. I wasn't very fulfilled in the position I was in before. I knew I always wanted to give back to the community, be involved, make a difference. Prayed on it, came across that, and I thought I would be an advocate first. I let the program manager at the time know, hey, I'm going to be an advocate. She told me to apply. So I applied, and here I am, and I love my job. I've seen how much of a difference it can make, and I've met like-minded people, and it's been very impactful, not only for myself, but for others. So that's how I got involved with CASA.
Yeah. I volunteer myself, and I just feel like when you work for an organization that is volunteer driven, there is just this other aspect of fulfillment. Like you said, you feel like you're doing something that makes a difference, right? I want to know how CASA got started.
Actually, it was in 1977 in Seattle, Washington. There was a judge, David Sukup, who was on the bench, and his story is that he was overseeing a young girl's case, and he really wasn't sure kind of the direction that he wanted to go. And so he felt that if he had somebody there who was, more present with the child, could really help him make a decision. And so, he called some folks up and said, let's put together a group and let's kind of see what we can start. And that's how CASA got birthed. And then locally in 1994, one of our judges, Judge Robert Anspaugh, and a group of fantastic individuals, actually our very own juvenile judge, Judge Gill, along with, many others, the Junior League of Bakersfield, got together and said, let's start a CASA here. And so 32 years ago, that's how long we've been in existence here, serving kiddos and advocates. So it's really an incredible story of how it comes, to light. But I think it is so incredibly important because a lot of people, while we all are there for the child, our real focus is to be the eyes and ears for the judge. And a lot of people miss that. So it's kind of like, two roles, one for the kiddo, but then one for the judge as well.
And just for maybe people who don't know, what does CASA stand for?
Court Appointed Special Advocates.
I appreciate you saying that because I think some people just hear it and they just assume
house
metaphor or something like that. Yeah. So after you guys both joined CASA, what was something that you learned about CASA that was just unexpected?
So I had no clue going into it how much of an impact you can make. Since I've been doing info sessions, I've gained a lot of knowledge on that side. And every time I do one, I've noticed I get more into it. They're longer. I'm answering more questions. And since I've started my advocacy journey, I've also got that point of view as well. So for myself, I didn't know how much of a difference you actually make and how much the judges take in, like, your consideration and point of view on the side, because like Ashley said, you are the eyes and ears for that child and the judge. So a case can go totally a different way, but when you're put into that position and you are seeing like the ins and outs of what this child is going through, they really take that into consideration. And if you weren't there, it could go a totally different way. At the end of the day, we are there for the child, but then like she said, we are there for the judge as well.
Is there anything else that you feel like the community sort of misses when it comes to organization or doesn't understand fully?
One, it's a big role. It really is. I don't want to, put that lightly. And I've been a CASA. It was really important to me going into this that I understood what our CASAs went through. And I definitely don't understand the magnitude because many have had, cases that are much tougher than mine was. And Anna is a current CASA. It is a lot of time. But our organization really trains and preps you the best that we can. I feel like sometimes we are training even us as staff along the way because certain cases bring about, certain circumstances that we've never dealt with before. So we're in this boat with you, rowing together, facing any kind of storm that comes our way. So we really do our best to prepare our advocates, but they don't have to come, with legal knowledge. They don't have to come having, knowing all these things. I think they, just have to obviously meet our basic requirements and, Anna can talk to those things. But I think just, do they truly have a heart and are willing to make the time? And I truly believe that people make time for the things they care about. And as a community, we have a responsibility to take care of our kiddos, even if they're not biologically ours.
Absolutely. You guys have both been in the community, and I'm sure you guys hear a lot of different opinions and things about foster care. What is so important about raising awareness about foster care?
I think even for myself, before going into this role, people just know surface level. We know they are removed from the home, and that's basically it. We don't know the depths of what they go through. We don't know how many placements they've had. We don't know basically their full story. At CASA, we only serve, I don't even think we serve a quarter. So that's how many kids that aren't being served. So I think it's important to bring awareness to foster care as a whole. Yes, we have social workers, we have people that care, but as a whole community, we need to come together and bring more awareness to this topic because, like I said, it's only surface level what our community knows. And then unless you're working in a role as ourselves, you don't know the full depths of this. So I think that's why it's important to bring awareness.
I know there's been studies done about child abuse prevention where it's the families that have an entire village with them that are less likely to end up in front of our social workers, right? In your own words, what would you say is the biggest challenge that our youth face that have gone through foster care?
When I look at our youth, feel like no matter, I can say overall, I've had a happy, healthy childhood, but I still have dealt with some sense of trauma in my life. And I feel like we really don't understand the capacity of what these kiddos go through, when they're pulled from their homes, when they're put in random people's homes who try to love them to the best of their ability, when they have to change schools. My heart goes out to these kiddos, and then to try to regulate their emotions and placements upon placements. It just truly breaks my heart. Get teary-eyed just thinking about it because how do we help them more? Right? I feel like we really try to do our best each and every day, but sometimes I feel like, we just don't do enough. So I think just if we can just understand and empathize with our kiddos a little bit more to help, and then to really come alongside. Because I truly believe that the only way that change truly happens is through relationship, is someone really caring and showing a youth that's like, I might not understand where you come from, but I'll sit here with you in it. There's a video on our website, and that was simply what gave him the will to live. He actually wanted to die, to end his life because he didn't feel like anyone cared. And his CASA kept showing up, and he said that they were sitting at a Taco Bell he was eating his burrito. She just sat there. They didn't say a word. And it was in that moment that he wanted to live. And now he is a successful individual living in Texas, 2 degrees, operating one of the largest solar farms out there. And it just is like, gosh, to think that he might not be here, but it was because of relationship. And so I just wish more people stepped away from themselves and poured into others, I guess is kind of really, what I wish is that our youth need us.
Was there a moment in either of your CASA journeys where you just sort of realized the impact that you're making, whether it was you directly or just the organization as a whole?
So as a whole, because I've seen and heard other people's stories of how much they've changed a path of a child's life. And then also just with my own personal experience, I've seen the child grow and had people within their lives just because of the program, and people that have built a relationship, like Ashley said, have cared about him. And that might have been a different story. I get to see how much progress he's made. And so that has made a difference in my advocacy. And it goes to show that it does work. It only takes one person. So to give a child hope and to create a better future for them.
Yeah. What are some things that you can do to sort of wrap around those kiddos as they transition out as a part of CASA?
Yes. I mean, we have a lot of great resources here locally. The Dream Center is one of them. They really help with so many different aspects of, adult who is aged out. And so, I would just say to embrace our community partners. Also the Kern County Network for Children is a great resource as well. And so, obviously if a kiddo doesn't have a CASA, who can then walk alongside them, there are other partners out there who really want to help young adults navigate life. And so that way that they're successful and they don't, regress back into, whatever that might be. So there are just folks to embrace. We just got to take that initial step and, or call 411 and they can put you in touch with a resource that will help as well.
And what is the process to become a CASA volunteer?
So attend an info session. I basically give everyone background of CASA, how to become a volunteer, and then what volunteering looks like. And then from there, if they want to proceed with it, send them an application. There are guidelines we have to follow. We have to abide by the court system. But like Ashley said, we just need someone that is going to put their all into it, commit their time, and have the heart to help a child out.
Folks can just call our office at 661-631-2272 or, go onto our website at kerncasa.org. We're always out at outreach booths and whatnot, so you've probably seen Anna around town, but it's really easy to plug in with us. And then Anna can guide you through on, next steps and, really helping you navigate that journey of becoming a CASA. And, what a really cool experience the whole way through it. Again, it is a little tedious at times just because obviously we want to prepare you as much. It's a 6-week training. But at the end, you get to be sworn in as a officer of the court, which is, just a really cool experience. Cool. And then, to get assigned your first case. So if anyone's ever considered it, now's the time to jump on board. We have a class starting for this summer. Right now, we have a training class going on, but we'll have one coming up for this summer. And there's no better time than to say, I want to help.
What does that time commitment look like?
So we do ask for an 18-month commitment, and I'm always upfront about that. It's not just a one-time drop-in. It's a different volunteering experience. So like we said, we need people that are dedicated, have the heart, are willing to commit, because we need stable people in the child's life. We don't know how long the cases will go, but we are upfront and honest. We train you. We walk alongside you the whole time. We never make you feel alone. If you feel like you want to do it, just do it, There's never a better time than hearing it or having it within your heart to do it. Don't be scared. We're there for you the whole time.
So what can a CASA volunteer expect like during a trial? Are they with the kid the whole time? Are they driving them to and from the courthouse? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah. So we generally ask that they see the kiddo about once a week, just to build the relationship. And, and then, they do have a few partners that they're reaching out to. So they're talking with the attorney, talking with the social worker, following up, just making sure that their, medical services are being received. So there are a couple people to reach out to, before, say, a court hearing. And then, we will tag along on the first one or until a CASA is comfortable, just to make sure that, you're most prepared in the courtroom. But it's really simple. If the court case isn't too strenuous, really go in. You've already submitted a court report to the judge, letting them know what your recommendations are. Hopefully, everyone's in alignment. And, at that point, the judge might just ask you, a simple question or two, but hearing about it and being a, officer of the court, it's like, wow, I couldn't do that. But, for me, I even get there in there. Sometimes I'm a little nervous and my team has to say, okay, Ashley, it's okay. At the end of the day, it's like, when you walk out, you just feel bigger than life because you're just like, I'm helping this kid navigate life. And it's a really cool feeling, but it's more so what the kid does to you than what you do for the kiddo.
Yeah. And if individuals might not be able to volunteer, is there other ways that they can support CASA or foster youth in general?
Yeah, so we have events often. So, if we have our upcoming CASA Derby event, which will be happening on May 2nd. And so there's always an opportunity to, volunteer, help us set up, tear down, various things. We have committees, so they can always call or reach out, regarding that. Obviously, being a not-for-profit, we're always looking for financial support to help continue our mission. They can call or make a donation online. So there's always many ways that they can support CASA, whether that be through, becoming a CASA. We do have currently about 49 kiddos on our wait list who are awaiting a CASA. So I always think that's important to plug in because obviously we need 49 CASAs, to fill in those gaps. Mm-hmm. But and as long as child welfare is here, we'll continue to, have kiddos that will be appointed to. So, we'll never stop at 49.
And just sort of to round out our message about Foster Care Awareness Month, what is something that you truly want the community to take away and understand about this month and how they can continue to support foster children in our community, not necessarily through nonprofits, but in general, right? Mm-hmm. As we're talking about wraparound services and supporting our neighbors and all those things. So
I think my thing, right, is whether we invest in it now, we will eventually investing in it later. I say let's take the early intervention and advocacy seriously, because what you could spend $100 on today, you might spend $1,000 on later. So it will impact you at some point. My encouragement would be to let's get to these kiddos early before they become, their life outcome becomes something much worse. There's a lot of people that are doing amazing things for our kiddos in foster care. We could be doing more.
I just want to thank you guys so much for coming onto this podcast, and not just coming onto this podcast, but just always being a great partner to our department and just advocating for our kids out there that are facing so, like you said, so many different things that we can't even conceptualize, right? For our listeners, just to take a moment during this month to think about how you can intervene on the behalf of children in your neighborhood, or maybe children that you see at work, or whatever it could be, just being that bright spot in their life. So thank you guys again for coming onto the podcast, and thank you for helping to spread this important message.
Yes, thanks, Allison, for allowing us to be here.
Thank you.